So this is how you can destroy someone's reputation without any due process. Hi, and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Shashti Flo, and here on my channel, I talk about my good and bad experiences working in Hollywood as a reporter. And as you know, a lot about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal feud. Yesterday was such a shock. I haven't really been able to process it so far. I feel like this was just such a gut punch to everyone who was really hoping to see some justice for Justin Baldoni. And what we've seen now is the complete opposite. I've been watching some other creators. I've been listening to you guys. You sent me a lot of tips, a lot of your feelings. And I think right now, everyone's just sitting here like, what do we do now? What does this really mean? And to me personally, I think it brought back some of the trauma that I was going through when I was suing the Golden Globes. I spoke about that in one of my episodes. Because I felt the same thing happen to me as I see now happening to Justin Baldoni. It's not fair. But what I wanted to say is that I feel like everyone gets what they deserve in the end. And karma, I do believe in karma. And I do believe that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will pay the price for what they have done to Justin Baldoni. And I think also Justin Baldoni will come out on top. Maybe not the way we did predict it would happen, like how it happened to me. When I sued the Golden Globes, the judge dismissed my case twice, and they came out in the press, being so happy that this frivolous, baseless lawsuit was dismissed. They called me a bully in the press, and then they continued their unethical, corrupt dealings and bullying methods in Hollywood, except one thing, that no one liked them. The celebrities hated them, the studios hated them, and NBC canceled their TV deal, which was worth $60 million. So even though my case was dismissed, it didn't really make them the winners. And also, what happened after that, which is what I'm getting to my karma point here. So these bunch of journalists called the Hollywood Foreign Press Association that were behind the Golden Globes, they were then offered to sell their whole legacy, the Golden Globes, to this billionaire called Todd Bowley. And they were like, yes, we want some money. Obviously, that's all they were ever thinking about. And this guy was promising them to get them back on the air and to make them employees of his major company. He also had teamed up with Penske Media, as you know, owns a lot of the trade magazines, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and so on. And these guys were like, yes, let's grab this deal. It's amazing. We're getting all this money. And then, bam. He fired all of them a year later, and now they're sitting there feeling desperate. They have no value anymore in the industry. One of them was just caught faking an interview with Clint Eastwood. It was all over the press. To feel any kind of relevance, they have to make up that they're meeting these celebrities that they used to meet every week. So yeah, I do feel that justice will be served in one way or another. And right now, all these people are kicked out of Golden Globes, and now they're planning to sue Penske and Todd Bowley. I hear from insiders. So now they're all sitting there feeling completely screwed over. And I have to say, I feel like it was justice served in a way that I could never have expected at all. But as I said, I do believe in karma. And I do feel that even though the justice system is not fair always, I don't feel this is fair at all, as I'm sure most of you watching my channel agree with me on. But I do feel that Justin Baldoni will prevail in the end. Not with this judge, maybe not in this courtroom, or maybe not in relevance to this at all. But I do think that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will pay in the end. And what I think is going to happen now, my personal opinion, I think Blake Lively is probably going to withdraw her lawsuit and say that now she's spoken for all victims out there, and this was such an important win to show the world that victims can come out and stand up for their rights and whatever, and that's why her case isn't that important anymore. And then Justin Baldoni will never get the chance to prove he was innocent in court, which I think would be terrible. Some people are saying that they might settle. I don't see Justin Baldoni settling this now at all. And I think Brian Friedman has said clearly so many times that he's not interested in settling. But I do think that Blake Lively might just withdraw her entire lawsuit because she knows she has zero evidence. Zero. We've seen it. She has zero evidence. And still, the judge wanted her lawsuit to move forward. That's what I find so baffling here. He dismissed Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, which had so much evidence, especially against the New York Times and Ryan Reynolds. The things that he had said about Justin Baldoni, what he did with the Nice Book character, all these things, and dismissed. So now Justin Baldoni can only really focus on defending himself against her SH claims and against her retaliation, like alleged smear campaign. We know she has zero proof for that. And I think for him now, the only thing that he can do without attacking back is just being on defense all the time. I don't like the idea of that, but I'm very curious to see how Brian Friedman is going to come out and respond to this. I'm sure he's in pretty big shock as well, and especially because everything was coming at the same time. The judge dismissed, it was 130 pages. He dismissed everything. He dismissed the lawsuit against New York Times, against Blake Lively, against Ryan Reynolds, against Leslie Sloan. I mean, everything is gone the same day. It almost feels like an ambush. The way things are looking, Justin Baldoni cannot file a new lawsuit. He can only amend 2 points in his lawsuit, and those points are really kind of worthless. One is that he didn't get enough time to respond to the New York Times when they asked for comment, that they published the article before, and the other one has to do with Blake Lively taking over the movie. Every claim about defamation, extortion, and civil conspiracy is gone. So it's kind of pointless for him to amend this complaint, and he cannot file this anywhere else either. This case against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is dead. Some of you guys have sent me information about Judge Lehman. Thank you so much. There are some stuff there that I find a little suspicious. I've heard one of the things before, that Judge Lehman's brother, Doug Lehman, is a director in Hollywood, and he did direct Blake Lively in a commercial about 15 years ago or something like that. And as Shane pointed out in an email to me, thank you for sending me this, Blake Lively's bestie, Salma Hayek, her husband is one of the richest men in the world, and he owns CAA, which is a talent agency, one of the biggest ones in the US. And guess who's represented by the CAA? Well, Judge Lehman's brother. Yeah, so the judge also has a kind of interesting history here. Thanks, Rebecca, for sending me this, explaining how Judge Lehman had a big lawsuit against Bank of America, where his wife owned stock in the company. That means she could benefit financially depending on how the case went, right? Even though this was a potential conflict of interest, Judge Lehman didn't step aside. He stayed on the case and ended up dismissing it. Then this case went to appeals court, and they overturned the dismissal of the lawsuit. So they said that the higher court said he should have removed himself from the case because it looked like he might not be impartial. Even if he didn't mean to be unfair, just the appearance of a possible bias was enough to be an issue. So yeah, if that was an issue, his wife owned stock in Bank of America, I don't know, these other things could be an issue as well. The fact that his brother is so involved in Hollywood, it could be an issue. I don't know these things. I just thought I should mention it. I do think it's interesting, and I do find this judge, I don't know, I do not find him fair. I feel like he's very biased towards Blake Lively. And now, especially that we've seen how she has used the system, and how that was kind of obvious from the start from people who knows the law. And I'm so surprised that the judge didn't dismiss this earlier. And now I'm thinking, when I see everything put together like this, I do understand why it was dismissed. But then I'm curious if Brian Friedman knew the potential, how big the potential was for this to be dismissed. If he said to Justin Baldoni and Wayfair, like, okay, let's file this lawsuit, there's a big chance that it will get dismissed, but then at least we get your story out there. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking that might have happened at this point. Because when you look at this, this is Blake Lively's playbook on how you can really abuse the legal system to your advantage. So, what she did, she filed a CRD complaint, which is privileged, meaning that no one can sue her for what's in that CRD complaint. When she filed that, it was not legally binding, and she refused them to actually investigate the claims in there. So she refused investigation. She put everything in there, and then New York Times reported on what was in that CRD complaint, meaning that they're also protected because they only reported on something that was filed. So they are allowed to do that without having any liability as well. So she wouldn't have to show any evidence to the New York Times, and they got away with that. So these cases, like CRD cases, are not vetted like court cases are. They are just one-sided until the CRD chooses to investigate. And when they did, Blake Lively said, no, thank you. I don't need you to investigate. So the CRD process created a shield of legal immunity for both her and for the New York Times. So that allowed her to say damaging things about Justin Baldoni publicly without facing the legal consequences of defamation. So basically, Blake Lively got all the headlines, the sympathy, and she got to tell the narrative before Justin Baldoni even got a chance to respond. And before even the judge got to see a shred of evidence. And that's also how she shaped the narrative in the media. And as you know, the media has followed that narrative all the way through. So she got the public sympathy at first, which is much easier than getting sympathy in the courtroom. She followed up with a formal lawsuit, but then the damage was already done. She had completely ruined Justin Baldoni's reputation. So this is how you can destroy someone's reputation without any due process. You don't have to show any evidence. And if you're a celebrity, of course, the press would be interested in your story. So you can just go and file a CRD complaint, leak it to the press, and they will write it as truth. And you can get back at whoever you want. This is the way to do it, you guys. If you really want to ruin someone's life and reputation, just do like Blake Lively did. And there's nothing this innocent person can do to protect themselves when the damage is already done. This strategy is really going to hurt real victims. It's going to make future allegations look like PR stunts because that's exactly what Blake Lively did with this. We're going to be skeptical when we see these things in the future. We're going to doubt people because we know if you lie about it, you can get away with it and you can ruin someone's life and livelihood in a second. Blake Lively didn't just file a complaint, she wrote a script. She staged the scene and cast herself as the victim before the courtrooms even opened. And the fact that she did this, she filed that CRD complaint right before Christmas so that Justin Baldoni wouldn't be able to defend himself for at least a week while the courtrooms were closed. It's so strategic, all of the things that she did. This is so cruel at every level. Of course, Blake Lively was out celebrating yesterday, and she wrote on her Instagram, oh, it makes me want to puke when I read it, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm sorry. If you don't want to hear it, you can turn off or just fast forward to the end. She posted a story saying that she's more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's rights to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. And then she added, like so many others, I felt the pain of a retaliatory lawsuit, including the manufactured shame that tries to break us, like her and all other victims. While the suit against me was defeated, so many don't have the resources to fight back. So Blake Lively made victimhood into a branding opportunity, as we've seen, while she's been pushing products on us this entire time, while she's really been speaking for victims, but it's been all about her new hair mist, about Betty Boos. As we saw during the entire PR tour for It Ends With Us, she did the same thing during this legal feud. She's making this into like an opportunity for her to brand and sell herself and sell her products. It's just so awful. She also said in that post that last week I stood proudly alongside 19 organizations united in defending women's rights to speak up for their safety. Like so many others, I felt the pain of retaliatory lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, the reason why this was dismissed was not because of these amicus briefs. The judge pointed that out in his response. So that has nothing to do with it. And it's nothing that she was united and she had so much backup from these groups. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there as well. Yeah, to round this up, I do believe in karma. And I do believe that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively will pay in the end. And I do believe that Justin Baldoni will get his justice, not maybe through the legal process. And I do hope that the industry will feel the same way, that they can trust him. I am sure, though, that no one is going to want to work with Blake Lively ever again. So no matter what she says, how happy she is to have won this case, she is toast in Hollywood. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And let me know in the comment section what you think Blake Lively's next move will be, or what you hope it will be. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm sure there's going to be more news and information about this pretty soon. And I'm sure Brian Friedman is going to come out and comment on this soon. When he gets his head above water again, he must have so much to do. I'm sure he's exhausted. And yeah, sending love to everyone, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.